We had a great conversation with the President of the Republic, the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, and we discussed a range of issues, especially in a space of peace and security and economic relations. I mentioned that we have lots to do together to support key sectors for economic relations, including aerospace, renewable energy, mining, education. So we have a great connections between our two countries, and I also acknowledging that this is the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations. Our relationships between Canada and Ethiopia were established on the 13th of October 1965. So it was a great moment to be able to present my credentials today to the President to talk about our relationships, the history of this relationship between Canada and Ethiopia, and the great connections between Ethiopians and Canadians over the course of those 60 years. So we're very pleased to be in Ethiopia, very engaged. We want to do much more in terms of economic cooperation, peace and security. These two goes hand in hand. You cannot have greater economic cooperation without peace and security in the region. So it was a very productive conversation, a first contact. We're very happy to be able to start working now.
It was a great honor for me to meet with the President. We had a very fruitful discussion today on future cooperation of Indonesia and Ethiopia. The President highlighted the long history of our bilateral relations since the Bandung Conference in 1955, but President mentioned, and I also agree, that it is timely now to develop it further, not only in political sphere but also concretely in economic areas of cooperation, particularly in cooperation to develop agribusiness, agriculture, manufacturing, as well as in technology sector. Indonesia has been in cooperation with Ethiopia in artificial insemination of cattle. I think there is promise for us to develop more closer cooperation in this area of agriculture as well as agri-processing and aquaculture. The important roles of both our countries in our respective regions. President also mentioned about the possibility of developing greater cooperation between African Union and ASEAN, which is Association of Southeast Asian Nations, which is hosted in Jakarta. So both countries, Ethiopia and Indonesia, can play a role in bringing closer the two regions together and develop economic cooperation. I think there is tremendous potential. Now Indonesia is looking to develop concretely its relations with Africa. We want to move beyond the history, which is the history of Bandung Conference, the history of fighting against colonialism, into a development of cooperation that is mutually beneficial for both sides. I also suggest to President that probably we should not focus on government-to-government relations as well, but focus more on business-to-business. That's why Indonesia's suggestion is to develop cooperation between chambers of commerce and relations between Ethiopian Investment Commission and the relevant institutions in Indonesia. I think these relations are not only at the government level but also business to business is the foundation for a solid bilateral relations in the future.
For us, Ethiopia, for the whole family, it is a dream posting, a place where we wanted to go, and I told the President that I congratulated him on the GERD, that is something, it's a huge accomplishment. I also told him that I was very impressed with the African Climate Summit that Ethiopia organized together with the African Union. That for me it's a example of a continent coming together for a topic that concerns the whole world. And we also talked about the bilateral relations that we have between Ethiopia and Switzerland. Switzerland has for 70 years a diplomatic presence in Ethiopia, so it's a really, really long time that we work very closely together and that we build upon this friendship. We will have political consultations again next year, and I invited the president or his delegation to come to Switzerland. I also talked about the macroeconomic reform that we plan to bring a business delegation in the beginning of next year in order to strengthen the business ties between the two countries as well. And we talked about multilateralism, where Switzerland was just in the Security Council for the very first time in 2023 and 24, where our guiding star was or is international law, and we both were in New York. We're both multilateralists at heart as well, and so I think there's a lot to work on together.
Sweden and Ethiopia have traditionally and historically strong ties. First Swedes arrived in Ethiopia in the mid-19th century, and we've been present here for many, many years, many, many decades. And in fact, next year we will be celebrating 80 years of diplomatic relations between Sweden and Ethiopia. And I see many opportunities for us to promote relations and build an even stronger relationship between our two countries. I should mention commercial relations. There is a growing interest of Swedish companies in Ethiopia. Our business ties go back more than 100 years with Ethiopia, but the economy here is growing very, very rapidly. There are strong economic reforms going on, and we are optimistic about future commercial relations between our two countries. But there are many other areas in which we will be able to, I think, deepen our relations. I think in multilateralism we share many core values. Sweden and Ethiopia historically has worked very closely with each other on the multilateral issues, support for the United Nations, and so on. We can certainly, I think, continue our work together. In the area of peace and security, you know, Sweden and the Nordic countries have long supported peace and stability in Ethiopia. We have long been a supporter for development here. We continue to have a strong development program in Ethiopia. So both Sweden and Ethiopia are moving into election seasons next year. So that means we have a lot of interesting times ahead of us. But I am sure that we are going to come out of this in a strong way.